Wrestling Podcast. And his name is John Cena.
I saw this amazing clip online today of Shawn Michaels in the match with Ric Flair, but they played Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" over it. And like right as the kick happens, it's like like it just goes into the belting, and it's so good. You just see him like.
How did he know when to kick at the right moment?
I know. Oh, I know. It's so incredible.
Oh my God! You know what else? It's incredible.
What else, Ray?
Incredible that it's Friday, February 17th, 2017, and you are listening to On the Hills Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ray.
I'm Brittany. We're a few wrestling fans who started a podcast at our former place of business, and that gave us a space to shoot on all of our favorite pastime without the confused looks we'd often get from the rest of the office.
This podcast is all about giving you consistent, bite-sized commentary in the world of professional wrestling, focused primarily on WWE's ever-expanding show lineup, though we do occasionally touch on our local indie scene right here in Seattle, Washington.
Yes! Every week we'll either recap WWE's weekly shows, network specials, or pay-per-views. Sometimes we'll hold roundtable discussions on a particular topic. This week we're joined by another special guest. Funny enough, our first actual heel on the Heels Wrestling
Holy
Podcast.
Shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was going back through and realized, I'm like, wow, we've only had faces. Like, we're doing a really shitty job of keeping to our name. Anyway, hot off of his debut on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Give it up, long-time local indie wrestler, Mr. Fitness.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show, you guys. And to be honest, I've been paying close attention to your guest lineup, and I thought that it was just an ironic name for the podcast.
Yeah, it's Ray's fault.
Yeah. It just didn't roll off the tongue. On the faces, like that just sounds weird.
That sounds like a
No, there's different puns you can do for faces, but
yeah, I love heels, but yeah, we did like we tended to front load with a lot of faces, so what are you gonna do? So holy crap, there's a lot to talk about in just the last this last week. We're gonna recap the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, but holy crap, even before that, there was a Seattle Smackdown.
Woo!
Yeah, that's. Do you want to talk about that, Brittany, a little bit?
Because I think you were at at a concert.
I was at Run the Jewels.
Run the Jewels. That's right. Yeah. Awesome. But ours was better.
Yeah.
So thinking about it, kind of in comparison, like last year when WWE was in town, it was Raw, and it was Daniel Bryan's retirement. Ooh. And that was really the only thing that I remember from that. And literally everyone remembers, because the rest of the show is actually kind of crap, which is interesting being that it's a Raw leading up to WrestleMania. And I felt like watching this SmackDown, that was not the case. There was actually a good amount of content. They moved some storylines along. It was preparation for an Elimination Chamber. They had a dual contract signing with the women. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on. They recorded 205 live after the show, which was insane because they ended up like a bunch of people just leave after John Cena has his match. So all of these seats open up and everybody just kind of moved in and took cool. I moved in like something like 5 rows just to watch what was happening. And it was great because like Jack Gallagher, he's amazing. TJP, they're all great. So it was awesome. I was wondering what it was going to be like given how good Raw was the previous year. Oh, there also was a dark match. It was The Miz versus Dean Ambrose with Daniel Bryan as the guest referee.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which was basically just Daniel Bryan teaching Dean Ambrose how to kick The Miz.
Oh, that's
and then
awesome.
The rest of the audience chanting yes along with it when he did it correctly.
Oh, that's great.
Like
but that was a dark match main event. That was after 205 Live. It was
That's right.
It was unusual because, especially seeing how many people left after the main event of SmackDown, but it was the first time I've seen a something that caliber as a dark match after the televised stuff happened.
I feel like they had to do that in order to keep people sitting through 205 Live.
Oh yeah.
because as we previously discussed, like the audience that watches Raw and SmackDown is not necessarily the audience that watches the network.
Yeah.
So with 205 being a network exclusive show, it's kind of like, okay, well now you suddenly have all these wrestlers that nobody, like the kid wearing like 5 different pieces of merchandise from John Cena does not give a shit about. So how do you keep them around? You tell them that there's a match with Daniel Bryan. But apparently it didn't work, and that was okay because I got better seats. So
yeah. Oh man, that sounds awesome. I mean, like being able to see that, which is super unique. That's one of the things that I like about sometimes when they go off air, you get kind of those special moments.
Yeah.
But also, I would love to see 205 live. Like that's.
It was good.
Dope.
It was good. Like oh my god, it was so good. Like. I can just sit here for the next 30 minutes like, dudes, it's so good. So let's move on and start talking about some more wrestling.
Yeah. So do we want to just go ahead and jump into the Elimination Chamber?
I am down for whatever, Ray.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and skip the kickoff show of Mojo Rawley versus Kurt Hawkins because why talk
Everyone else did?
Yeah. Let's talk about Becky Lynch versus Mickie James. First off, I love Mickie James. I think she's fantastic. I think again, I think I've said this before. She just came at the wrong time. Her first run, and like having her face off with Becky Lynch, it's been good to have Becky Lynch have some quality wrestlers to really like go back and forth with.
Yeah. Taylor, any thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that it was great to see Mickie James come back to the WWE when she came back to have her match at NXT. I honestly wasn't. The last thing I was expecting was for her to turn heel. I didn't see the episode where she was doing like the luchadora gimmick, right?
Yeah,
and then took her mask off.
Yep.
I only saw parts of that. I thought it was kind of ham-fisted that she would come back as someone's like lackey. But I guess like the how and the wherefores to like get her to that position don't really matter as much to me, because I got to see her in an element where she had a little bit more control over the pace of the match, and just I like the way she works as a heel. So it was cool to see Becky Lynch have a little bit more of that veteran leadership as well.
I feel like lackey though is an interesting like phrase in this scenario, because I think about it in the sense of like when you had Charlotte and Dana Brooke on Raw. Like Dana Brooke is straight up lackey, like can't hold her own. She's there just for, to be evil, henchman, whatever. Whereas I think Mickie James by herself is a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
could carry her own. And if anything is like she's there to prop up Alexa Bliss, but it's a completely different relationship between the two of them, as we've seen with other heel duos in the women's division.
Yeah, more of a mutually beneficial situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't see what she would have to gain from putting on a disguise and beating up someone she'd never met.
Yeah, again, this goes into, like, I think they do a better job on Raw, like, actually working out the actual angles and the gimmicks within the women's division. I think I think they tend to fall to old habits with SmackDown. With
Exhibit A. Carmella.
Oh God, right. Yeah.
To be fair, though, I was in love with the nostril recognition pictures that people were posting of different female independent wrestlers, but only zooming in on the bottom of their nose and their nostrils and their septum and trying to match it to hers. I thought that was genius. But it's not like WWE can take credit for any of that.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love the internet.
Thanks, internet, for everything.
Yeah.
Yay!
You're so good. You're so good to us, internet.
Let's see, what else do I have from my notes? Oh, I love that she does an exploder suplex and calls it a Bexploder. I thought that was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I just really, I think the running theme for this show is I'm really happy with all the heels and what they contributed, and the fact that most of them were this time last year were not in the place that they are now. So.
Yeah,
it's cool to see new blood to bring out. If they're building these babyface stars for the future, it's cool to see some new foils brought in for them to work off of.
Yeah.
And I think that's really one of the interesting differences when you watch Raw and SmackDown. And I'm saying this a lot, comparing it because I recently just only started watching SmackDown. But with Raw, you have a lot of these brand new guys like pushing the top of the card. Like you've got Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley and Nia, who are all coming up from NXT, basically running the women's division. You've got Kevin Owens as your champion. You've got Roman Reigns, as much as everybody fucking hates him. So you have all of these guys coming up through the development plan, but then SmackDown is still, John Cena, Randy Orton. You've got all these other guys. So it's really, really good to see the newbies that WB has been trying to foster that growth for a long time really start to kind of take off.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. But a year is a long time in the WWE.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
They can make a lot. The right person can make a lot of progress in a year.
Yeah. If you would have told me that Kevin Owens is so solidified in the place that he is right now, like, no, don't get me wrong, I always thought that Kevin Owens was going to be champion, but so like cemented in that position now, where like when he loses the title, he's gonna be in that conversation for a long time.
Speaking
Absolutely.
of what a year can do, let's talk about Nikki Bella. Do you like that segue? That was for you, Kyle.
Ghost of Kyle. I didn't care for this match. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. What did you think, Brittany?
I think that this is like the first time I've really actually looked forward to Nikki Bella matches. Not particularly this one, but just sort of kind of her as a character. Like they're entertaining. They may not be as entertaining as other women's matches on the card, but it's not the bathroom match anymore, right? Yeah. And there's a moment in it where she's actually got Natalya in a headlock, and she literally looks like she's trying to strangle her.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's like, just any beef between them at all or not, but like she's actually giving it her all. And I think that's pretty good. Like you can tell that she's trying.
Yeah.
And it's bad that was the bar that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, she's wearing John Cena colors. So
yeah, I noticed that.
But that at least fits with the storyline, right? Like, and that's one of the things that I really like about this is I've always complained about women's storylines being focused around men. And I feel like this is the right way to do it. That Nikki Bella, like the argument is that Nikki Bella's only has her place in WWE because she's dating John Cena. Right. Whereas Nikki Bella is like, no, I work hard. I'm independent. I'm here because of me. Yeah. And this is how this whole thing like works out. This is how you do it positively.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really happy to see them doing that. And then you've got Carmella. So
yeah, I think one of the big reasons why this, in terms of the gimmick, is really because they didn't at any point really like. John didn't come out. John wasn't involved during all these weeks of recording.
That's a good point.
You know, like they could have put him front and center and really diminished what Nikki was trying to do.
That's a very good point.
So in that, I think they did a really good job. In terms of, I will say this: in terms of the storytelling, they did a good job. In terms of the match, I felt like. Nikki's trying, Natalya's still kind of carrying her through kind of some of the match. And there's points in which Nikki's really doing her homework. You can tell, like like when she came back, like holy crap, like you can tell the level of just like of really keeping track of everything that's going on. Whereas I felt like Natalya was a little bit kind of guiding the match.
I feel like Natalya would have been great a year ago because she's trying to play up that heel thing. But going back to the previous stuff, like we've got Mickie James and Alexa Bliss doing heel stuff now. So Natalya just feels kind of added on.
Yeah.
But she's an effective heel and she does really good work on the mic and she's a strong hand in the ring.
Yep.
So you could put her in pretty much any position that that she needs to be in. I feel like she's going to, if she's happy in the company, she'll be able to do. She'll be liquid. She'll fill whatever space she needs to. A couple of notes I had about this match was, in films there, it's called the Bechdel test. In like in a scene where there's two women talking, if they can speak for 1 minute without referring to a male, then it passes the test. And it's so pitifully depressing how few movies can actually get through that.
Yes.
I felt like this is one of those feuds that. They brought up John Cena, but they brought him up like an object to be won. Like, hey, he'd be with me. They weren't the objects talking about the man.
It's the other way
Cena
around.
Was the trophy candy that they were talking about. So I thought it was refreshing, and I thought maybe you'd put an asterisk next to that in the Bechdel test. The other note I had was I'm happy to see another feud happening that the ring cannot contain.
Yes.
So it's really cool to see the backstage brawls and the dressing room ambushes and stuff like that. It gives an air of, I mean, maybe give it another 2 weeks and then any Nikki Bella segment will just have some random attack from a corner or whatever.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's really cool to see
Going through the merch
action
table,
spilling
like,
out.
all of that stuff. Yeah.
And
It's overflowing, and I really like that.
I think you have to do that with quote unquote grudge, like rivalries, like that have nothing to do with the championship. Like you have to
Absolutely.
You have to take it to another level in terms of like the reasons why. And I think I think you're absolutely right. Do we want to talk about the tag team turmoil?
Not really.
No, I thought it was okay. Can I at least say this? I think it was a great showing for Heath Slater and Rhino. Cause damn, like I love Heath Slater. I think he's fantastic, and every time I see him wrestle, like with specifically with Rhino, it just makes me happy because like for some odd reason, like 2-3 years ago, I would have never thought that Heath Slater would have got over.
So I don't have a comment on this match in particular, but something I found interesting. So they're still referred to as Breezango, even though it's very clear that their gimmick is the fashion police. Like they even say like fashion popo on their butts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they are the fashion popo.
Right. So why are they still referred to as Breezango?
Because they still have T-shirts to get rid of.
Oh, okay.
No,
That makes sense.
Or they don't have graphics yet. I don't know. Maybe they're just testing the waters with that.
Right. I think it's brilliant. Like their little outfits are so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I do happen to know that they got some of that stuff from the prop trailer, so it's not like that stuff was all custom made. So maybe they're just testing it. I have some inside knowledge.
We'll hear about that on next episode.
I'll
This
come back
is so
next week.
good. I'm so glad that we have fitness on here. Like totally,
Yes.
we would not know this.
Yeah, that little bit. I don't think that was in the NDA I signed.
Even if it was, we won't tell anyone.
Yep.
Perfect.
Uh,
Yeah, I like watching the vaudevillains work as heels.
Yep.
I like the Usos. Those were both just back to the same footnote in my notes of like these guys a year ago were languishing, trying to like get the audience on their side, and now they're able to refresh it, and it just takes that small shift to completely reset the whole landscape. So
And I had no idea that Usos had this much depth, right? Because they've been playing the same character for so long, and for them to go complete 180 and to just
for sure.
rock the whole asshole vibe, it's really good.
Yeah, I like it. I've been saying, man, I hope Usos go heel for the longest, and this is it's been good.
yeah. One issue I had, I'd love to see American Alpha in real peril at some point.
Yeah.
They never really seem like they're out of control. It never seems like they're actually in true jeopardy.
Yep.
It just seems like they're waiting for their comeback.
Yeah.
And they're insanely talented athletes and they're incredible. But I want to suspend my disbelief a little bit. Like I gotta believe that they're gonna lose and die.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's happened with me since they're wrestling the
Revival.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Right. And I think in that moment, like American Alpha and Revival were both so great, but when American Alpha went up to the main roster, we saw that it really was the Revival that was truly carrying that group because they continued to feud with other tag teams on NXT, and they're just fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, they've got their teamwork, they have their chemistry.
Yep.
They also had the advantage of the heels typically lead most of the flow and the momentum of the match.
Mhm.
So those American Alpha Revival matches, those were Revival matches.
yeah.
That they just
Absolutely.
had a great canvas to paint on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to see them. In more danger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I do want to bring up a little gripe that I had. We don't have to go over the whole match, but you have Dolph Ziggler as a heel in a handicap match. Like not in a Dolph Ziggler with two other guys versus one guy. You have two faces versus one heel.
I think that deserves to be talked about because it doesn't quite make sense to put the good guys at such an advantage over the lone bad guy.
Yeah, like
it makes zero sense booking wise.
They did the opposite on Raw. They had Jericho and Owens versus Roman. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
and that's a handicap match. That is a handicap match,
and that's
that's how it should be.
Yep. And
even if you know that Roman is gonna win in the end, the joy is in seeing how it's gonna happen.
Right, because it's such a different format than the norm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just like, oh, okay, so like he hurts Kalisto, now we have a one-on-one match. Now this match isn't nearly as it's too weird. It's confusing.
I think that Ziggler went into business for himself because he realized it was written oddly.
Yes.
So he just went ahead and took him out at the entrance ramp.
Yeah.
To make it a little bit more even keel in the ring.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a shoot right there. That what we saw on Sunday, that was a shoot.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Let's see. Randy Orton versus Luke Harper. Brittany, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm actually trying to remember anything big from this match.
Because it was kind of, everybody knew Randy was going to win, right? Like there's no.
It's one of those. This is one of those matches that suffers from knowing that Randy Orton is in the main event at WrestleMania. Like in my mind, Luke Harper winning or losing doesn't really do anything in the long term.
Yep.
He's gonna bring more benefit to the show. By elevating Randy or making the rest of the story make sense.
Yeah.
But holy shit, babyface Luke Harper, I'm a believer on that.
Oh yeah.
He was hitting. He was everywhere he needed to be, but he still had that crazy wide-eyed stare. He didn't change his facial expressions, but his pacing, the moves that the moves that he chose to execute.
Yep.
He did a suicide dive.
Yeah.
He did the babyface power slam. He was hitting everything he needed to hit. It was amazing. I was so happy to see it. It was great.
I really like that
Luke
Luke Harper
tank top.
Yeah. Oh, it's not as filthy as it used to be. That I've noticed.
True.
The thing that I really like is that Luke Harper always suffered from being a part of the group because I think he's a fantastic wrestler. But having Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt needing to kind of like share the load between the three of them, and with Bray being sort of built up in the middle, I don't think he necessarily got the light he needed to.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Luke Harper do his own thing now.
Yeah.
Also, Luke Harper probably has the best Twitter page of any WWE superstar.
Really?
Oh man, I need to start following him then.
Yeah, feel free to look it up now while we're multitasking here. It's incredible.
All right. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge Luke Harper fan. I think he has a lot of the tools. Man is extremely good on the mic.
Yep.
He is as speedy as a luchador, which is weird. And he's literally got a whole lot going for him. So in my mind, he's gonna be, I would love to see him versus AJ Styles.
Absolutely.
I think
it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could believe it.
But as opposed to say the Usos, who completely retooled the sounds and the sights when they come out, like they changed the way they walk, they changed their gear, they changed their choreography,
their
or they
facial
just removed it. Luke
Their-
Harper didn't change anything about who he is.
Yeah.
When he cut his promo on Randy Orton as the babyface, he did it the same kind of timbre and cadence as he always did, and it gave it believability and it gave it consistency, and that's what nails it home for me. As much as any of the in-ring work was just that believability, because he sold me on those emotions. I could believe that he was abandoned by his Bray Wyatt, whatever he is to him.
Yeah. You know who
Abandoned
also
by
did
his
that?
Bray.
Yeah.
Who?
Undertaker.
Hmm.
Undertaker was a heel. As he
Yep.
started out, and like when he went face against Jake the Snake, he literally just went the same gimmick and then just went after the baby face. Or, I'm sorry, the heels. So I mean,
Yeah.
and it was good that he did that because it's still he's a scary monster. You redirected him.
Exactly. And the best don't have to change those fundamental aspects of their character. It's almost like you just plug and play a different opponent, but keep everything else the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Stone Cold Steve Austin was like reaching his like greatest heights of popularity, nothing changed.
Mm-hmm.
With his delivery and with his execution, it was just the targets changed.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part. It's just that believability and that consistency. That's what sells me.
Let's talk about the women.
Yeah. I know you.
So-
I know you're ready to talk about it. So good. So.
So the thing I like about this the most is that Naomi, I think as a character, hasn't really changed, but she's improved in two key areas that I particularly hated about her. I think her mic work has improved significantly.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love her entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I love her entrance from the fact that it is completely different from everyone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like it's not necessarily the most like exciting thing. It's like, okay, cool, it's a rave, whatever. But nobody else does that. And she has like
Right.
the gear to match it. She has it's that like she used to be a Laker girl, one of the cheerleaders or whatever. And it feels like she's starting to actually play into that background more, kind of like why she was a Funkadactyl in the first place.
Oh yeah.
So it's coming back to kind of her roots and building that in a bit. I just think it's really great. Like she's fully committed to the things that didn't work, making things that do work for her. Because like her moveset's still the same. She still has an ass-based offense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was legitimately happy to see her win the title. I felt like it's been a long time. She's put in her dues and she's improved in the way she needed to be sort of relevant in this revolution that's happening. I was happy about it.
Yeah, I thought they both did a great job. I was that was right before the main event, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was a little bit nervous that they were going to just make that like they were going to treat it like a popcorn match.
Yep.
But
I was too.
it absolutely held its own at its place in the card and any card. I thought it was tremendous.
Yep. I thought it was a good match. It's one of those things where I think with Naomi specifically, seeing her slowly but surely improve has always been like, okay, good. She's getting there. Do I think that she's ready to be the champion, be the top person on the card? We'll see. I think this is a good opportunity for her to really, because I mean, when you have the title, you get to get a little bit more mic time. You get to have a little bit more confidence, and I think it'll be a good test for her.
Yeah, and you're given more they're given more freedom to work as well.
Yeah.
So they'll have more opportunity to see what works within the context of their personality.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So like I'm not like, oh my god, it's about time, or oh my god, like I'm like, okay, I am interested to see where she takes it. So I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah. And there's a difference between like I think that the "you deserve it" chants. I think that's crap. I don't like any of that.
Really?
But there's a difference between "you deserved it" and "you just earned it."
Yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Yes.
You deserve it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, what did you didn't do anything to deserve it, whatever, you know. But if you go out there and earn it, like as though it were a competition for a prize.
Right.
That's what I
like
still want to. That's the context I still want to see it in. I don't want to see, oh, well, the match was okay, but he earned it 10 years ago in Ring of Honor, or she earned it because she faced this discrimination. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to see them earn it. And that's what I saw with them.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's not as catchy to chant.
That's true.
All right, let's talk about the Chamber.
Yeah. This match.
So-
Go ahead.
So first off, the chamber is new. Like they rebuilt it. Did you notice that?
I did.
I didn't notice it until I heard my friend talking about it. I think it's because the old one was Jim Ross called it a Satan structure, and they don't want to have any association with Jim Ross or the devil, so they had to completely retool the whole thing.
Right. I liked the way that the cages were structured. They actually had this like slide out mechanic, so the wrestler stepped in and then they slid in from the side, rather than it being kind of like a catchy like circular doohickey. It felt stronger and more intimidating, I think, the way it was constructed. They also added pads to the outside of the ring.
Yeah, but the chain link was a little bit more give. It wasn't like just chains woven together. It was like, wasn't it like steel, like chain link?
Yeah.
Like fencing?
It was a little bit denser than that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the fencing is like what you'd get on Hell in a Cell. Mm-hmm. And this is more of instead of the crisscross, it's more like actual chains interwoven.
Okay, I just remember I saw AJ hit the actual cage, and I thought it gave a lot more than it used to.
Maybe he got thrown really hard.
Yeah, he's just the best though.
Yeah,
he's amazing. So at one point in this match, I thought the Miz was going to win.
Really?
Yes. I think it was he came out so close to the end, but they focused a lot on his facial expressions, and you could see him kind of scheming.
Yeah.
A bit. And just kind of the way that Dean Ambrose went out, the way that Baron Corbin went out, like the Miz looked like he was really taking advantage of a situation. Yeah. And on top of that, given where the Miz has come for him in the last year, like basically carrying the mid card.
Yeah.
Right. Like
yeah.
He's been holding this belt. It's been amazing. So if there's any one moment where you could have a guy who you're not expecting to win suddenly hold two belts, it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. And a more jaded, I thought like, oh well, they're just getting footage for the highlight reels with all the close-ups and the expressions. I figured they're just getting footage.
Miz does give good face,
because I felt for a minute I thought the same thing you did, and all those close-ups, like they're just culling. They just need to curate that footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing about this match, the thing that made it, I think, more special, was the fact that not that Bray Wyatt won, it's that Bray Wyatt took out Cena and like before winning the match. Like he beat Cena and it's him and AJ and like they announce it like there's gonna be a new champion and yeah, I think everybody knowing that it's likely going to be Wyatt, like it just everybody's just amped at this point.
They're sitting there like, how can we end this in a better way than the Royal Rumble did?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it. It's like you don't have Cena be the last guy.
Yeah.
Right. And now the Rumble makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do we have anything more to talk about the Elimination Chamber?
I mean, it was a good match.
Yeah.
I still don't kind of understand why Baron Corbin's being thrown in, but I guess somebody has to go out early.
Yeah. So I did want to hit real quick on the what happens on Smackdown this Tuesday. After the main event, Randy Orton comes out, and he comes out to his normal music, and then proceeds to announce that he has no intention of fighting Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Now, some people are thinking, oh yeah, he's just, they're just gonna. This is just a long build up. Obviously they're gonna have the match. Daniel Bryan announced on Talking Smack that is in fact not the case. They next Smackdown, they're having a battle royal for the number one contendership.
For the main event?
For the main event.
What?
Yeah. And they're like, well, what about Randy Orton? And he's like, it's not my problem.
So yeah, this is bullshit, right? Because now the Rumble is like, fuck you.
Not necessarily. If you take in consideration what I said before, which is Randy Orton is not going for the WWE title. He is going for the Universal title.
I don't want you to be right though. Like,
yeah, I don't know what to say.
all right.
It just seems so like such a slam dunk to have, you know, the brainwasher and the brainwashee both poised to face each other at the biggest show of the year. It just, nothing else really makes sense to me. It seems like it'd be a wasted opportunity if they didn't.
I feel like
I think that all these reasons that they're throwing out to explain why it won't happen, those are all just distractions because the contract will get signed any which way it gets signed.
Yeah.
But I'm just holding out hope because I really want to see it.
I think the problem with this is, and I brought this up in a previous episode, like WrestleMania is very much like the Super Bowl, where there are people who watch WrestleMania who don't watch wrestling during the year. And I have a number of friends who are in that camp where they don't watch wrestling, but they make an effort to watch WrestleMania. And if you try to describe like the story between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, it just doesn't make any sense.
But you don't have to. The production company could do it in 45 seconds. They could sum up this last year into a beautiful video package that'll explain everything perfectly.
The problem
that's what they're best at.
Yeah, the problem there is that they didn't have a whole year. This gimmick, they just started this.
It just happened. Yeah. This isn't like.
Oh.
It's only been a few months. It's really only been a few months. Like I know it seems longer.
It was basically the brand split.
After that, way after.
A little bit after that, yeah. But it wasn't before then.
Yeah. So yeah, they haven't had a lot of time with this whole gimmick. So,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm skeptical.
I'm excited again. This is why I'm excited for WrestleMania because I have no idea what's gonna happen, and that just makes me happy.
All right, so that'll about wrap it up for this week. If you like the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at OnTheHeelsWP and on Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP. You can find our podcast through lots of different services like iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Subscribe to the podcast. Leave us comments.
Yes.
Tell us we're pretty. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. And, of course, tell your wrestling buddies about the podcast. Spread the word. Message us, tweet us, tell us random wrestling stuff. We love all of that, all of those good things.
All of it. So thank you for listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast, and a big thank you to our special guest, Mr. Fitness. Woo!
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is great. Let's do it again in a week, shall we?
Yeah.
Yes.
So tune in next week, and we'll be getting on our fitness one more time as we interview this amazing wrestler and get to learn a little bit more about him, his background, what makes him tick. You also get to hear about his recent appearance on Monday Night Raw and Tuesday Talking Smack. This will be fun. I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get to hear like his cardio regimen. I know I'm particularly interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk. I'm sure that as a dancer, yours might have a little bit on mine.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that next week.
We'll talk.
Yeah, I'll up my game in the next 7 days, and we'll get back to it.
Cool.
And then after all of that, we're all asking ourselves the eternal question: will Dolph Ziggler rehash the KFC impression at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky?
I just love that this is the Yum Center.
It's the Yum Center.
It's the KFC Yum Center.
KFC
Show
Yum.
some respect.
Sorry, I forgot the branding.
On the Heels Wrestling Podcast.